So I have to admit something, when I first saw the iPhone 17 Pro I wasn't impressed. Because first, the cameras or the performance are not dramatically better, and second, the design. I actually like the design of the 16 Pro more, same with the 15 Pro, and also the 14 Pro and 13 Pro. Number 3, the aluminum body versus titanium and steel. It made the whole phone feel like we're going backwards with this, and the pictures online didn't really change my mind either. When the release day came, I picked one up and used it, and after that, my opinion still didn't change until now. Not because of the specs or everything is better with the new 17 Pro, because every year the iPhone gets better. It was just the way it felt while I was using it, especially in everyday life. Because now when I use it, I know exactly why this iPhone is worth buying. But that doesn't mean everyone should go and get it, and here's why. It's hard to explain this, but the iPhone 17 Pro looks worse than I expected, but somehow feels better than every iPhone I've owned. That's really what I think about it. When Apple said they were switching back to aluminum, people lost their minds. Suddenly everyone was saying it was a downgrade, it doesn't feel premium anymore, titanium was better, this isn't a Pro phone and stuff like that. And after actually using several iPhones and the 17 Pro for months, I seriously think people focus on the wrong thing. Because no one is comparing aluminum and titanium by actually using them. They compare them in their heads just like I did. And that's a little bit unfair, because when I use the iPhone 17 Pro, I noticed that the older iPhones don't nearly feel the same in some areas. Titanium sounds expensive, aluminum cheaper, so people automatically assume cheaper means worse, but I found out that's not really how it works. What really matters is how something feels when you actually live with it every day. And this phone feels really, really good. It feels so good to use, there's barely any transition between the frame and the back glass, your hand just kind of glides around it. It's almost like holding a polished stone that's been worn smooth over time, or maybe silk. It sounds weird, but that's honestly the best way I can describe it. Nothing is digging into my hand, nothing feels uncomfortable. Of course, after a few days you get used to it, that's normal. But I use several iPhones, so every time I switch back to the 17 Pro after using my 16 Pro or 14 Pro for a while, I notice it again every single time. It's one of those things your brain forgets until you pick it up again, and then you're like, yeah, this actually feels better. Most reviews spend a lot of time talking about materials, and I get it, but when it comes to the phones, I think it's also important if it feels good to use. We had titanium on the 15 and 16 Pro. It sounds and feels nice, but it has a problem with the heat. So the new iPhone is made of aluminum, and that's not a bad thing. When I'm home, I use my 17 Pro without a case. I just enjoy how it feels, and I actually don't like using cases. When I leave the house or go to work, I put on a simple clear case that cost me around $7. It's not the strongest case in the world, but it protects the phone from scratches, little bumps, and everyday stuff. That's enough for me. And every time I take the case off when I get home, I enjoy using this phone so much. Another thing I notice is fingerprints. I expect it to pick up marks, but mine really doesn't. Even after using it without a case, it stays surprisingly clean. That's something I really appreciate because I hate constantly wiping my phone. Now, the orange color, I didn't like it on day one, and I still don't like it honestly. Personally, I choose silver or dark blue every single time. I think those colors age much better because the orange might feel different and special at first, but I can't imagine that after a while I won't like it anymore and then I'll want something simple again. Now let's talk about the heat. This is probably the biggest surprise for me because there isn't one. My 15 Pro gets warm pretty quickly when I push it using for a longer period of time. The 16 Pro is a bit better, but it still gets warm when I'm recording for a long time or doing something demanding. And the 17 Pro, not really. I noticed it while recording a long 4K video. Normally that's where I expect the phone to start heating up, but it just didn't, or at least nowhere near as much. That really changes the experience more than I expected. Because it's so nice using a phone that stays cool and effortless, you stop thinking about it, you're not wondering if it's about to slow down, you just keep using it. And people love talking about processors. Honestly, I care a lot more about how the phone feels after 20 minutes than how fast it finishes at a benchmark. That's just me, but you can let me know in the comments how you think about this. Now let's talk about the camera, because this is where I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Don't get me wrong, the camera is excellent and it's responding very fast. Photos look gorgeous, videos look fantastic, just like before. If I showed you two photos, one from the 16 Pro and one from the 17 Pro, I genuinely don't think you would know which one is which. I've tested this outside, inside, at night, during the day, portraits and landscapes. The difference in everyday usage is just not there. The one thing I consistently noticed was the extra optical zoom and you get a clearer image. That's nice and I like having it, I have to say, but is it enough to upgrade? Not really. I kept taking the same shots with my 16 Pro and the 17 Pro because I wanted to see a difference, and most of the time I couldn't. So if you're expecting dramatically better photos, you're going to be disappointed. The cameras on recent iPhones were already so good that there wasn't much room left for huge improvements. And the display is basically the same story. It's excellent, it's bright and smooth. The 120Hz display is still fantastic, but if you've already been using that for years, it doesn't feel new or different. It's one of those things you only notice when you switch back to an older phone. Otherwise, you stop thinking about it completely, which is actually a compliment. The battery though, this deserves some attention because this has genuinely changed how I use the phone. I usually start my day at 100% in the morning. By lunchtime, I'm still around 88%. That's after emails, web browsing, messaging, productivity apps, maybe even a quick game of chess, and nothing crazy, just a normal day. By late afternoon, I'm usually somewhere around 70%, and when I go to bed, I'm often still sitting between 50 and 60%. I don't charge it, I just put it into airplane mode, and the next day I just keep using it. Usually I don't even think about charging until the battery drops below 20%. I don't leave the house wondering if I should bring a charger. I don't check the battery every hour. It's just one less thing to worry about, and I really appreciate it. But I still don't think not everyone should go and buy an iPhone 17 Pro. If you already own the iPhone 16 Pro, I honestly wouldn't upgrade. The differences just aren't big enough. Yes, the new phone feels nicer in the hand and it stays cooler, the battery is better, but once you're actually using both phones, the experience is incredibly similar. Apps open just as quickly, scrolling feels the same, iOS feels the same, the camera are basically the same. For the amount of money you'd spend, I just don't think it makes sense. And the same goes for the 15 Pro, I'd probably keep it. Now, if you're using a 14 Pro, that's where the conversation starts getting more interesting. Maybe, I mean really maybe, because it depends on the condition of your phone. And the same with the 13 Pro. If your phone still works well and the battery is the only thing bothering you, I'd honestly replace the battery first. That costs a lot less and you might end up loving your phone again. But if your phone has a cracked display, damaged back glass, a frame that's covered in dents, maybe the battery isn't great anymore either, then yeah, now an upgrade starts making more sense. You get better battery, cooler temperatures, a nicer feel in the hand, a fresh device that's going to last you for years. The iPhone 17 Pro is one of Apple's most misunderstood iPhones because people judge it before they actually use it. They saw aluminum, they remembered titanium, and they decided it had to be worse. That wasn't my personal experience at all. If anything, this is the nicest feeling iPhone I've ever used, to be honest. It doesn't look like my favorite iPhone. I'd still say the 15 Pro and 16 Pro look better, but after living with this one, I care a lot less about how it looks than I thought I would. And it's not completely ugly, to be honest. I think it's the camera plateau, because every time I pick it up, I'm reminded that good design isn't just about appearance, it's also about how something feels after months of using it. So I can totally recommend the iPhone 17 Pro if you're thinking of buying it, but only to the right person. If you have a 16 Pro, save your money. If you have a 15 Pro, I'd do the same. If you're coming from a 13 Pro or maybe a 14 Pro with a phone that's starting to show its age and it's not worth replacing the battery anymore, then it's definitely worth upgrading. And if all you need is a new battery, replace it. That's probably the least exciting recommendation I can give, but it's also the most honest one. That's what I like about the iPhone 17 Pro. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.